Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and today we're talking about the latest release from ColourPop. This is their Frosty the Snowman collection. The ColourPop and Frosty collection is their holiday release, and it's currently available. You'll be able to find this one on the ColourPop site, of course, and it will also be available at their other retailers, Ulta and Target. However, if you decide to purchase anything from the ColourPop site, you can use coupon codes on those purchases. I have an affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on any of the individual items. If you go for the full collection set, you won't be able to use any discount codes on that because it's already discounted. So make sure you keep an eye on your cart totals so that you get the best deal possible. So we have a lot of different pieces to discuss here. I want to give you all the details, all the info, the prices, the close-ups, the swatches, and of course, all my thoughts along the way. So let's start with the makeup sponge first. This is everyone's favorite snowman, the makeup sponge. This is priced at $8 US. This makeup sponge is such an interesting and unique piece in this collection. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the best pieces from the Frosty the Snowman collection, and it's definitely one that I highly recommend just because it's really cute. It definitely has a special custom feel to it. It's under $10, and because it's a tool, it's going to be useful for a huge variety of people. Now I'm putting this next to one of my AOA brand makeup sponges so you can see the size here. It's a little bit smaller than it may look in social media posts, but I wanted to show off the color change here. I have just a little container of really, really warm water, just warm enough for my sink. I didn't have to really make it too hot. And the blue snowman turns white. So I think this is really cool. It's interesting, and it's the type of thing that has a high use value. It's something that you're going to be able to use for a really long time. It's not going to expire. I mean, obviously, you do need to replace your tools and sponges eventually, but I think this is by far one of the best pieces in the collection. Here's the sponge fully dampened now so you can see it does grow a little bit. And I also wanted to show you this sponge in action. Really, for the past couple of years, I've been leaning more into applying my base products with a brush. So I was interested to see how this unusual shape would work. And really, I just used the big round part on the bottom. It worked perfectly fine for me. I feel like it blended in my makeup really easily. It felt soft and squishy, just like any other makeup sponge. It really wasn't anything too outside of the norm. But I will say I was reminded by how much product sponges soak up. And I think that's how I got onto the brush using in the first place. This just absorbed a bunch of my foundation, but that's not specific to that sponge. That's just a makeup sponge thing. I think my base looks great. It looks fine. It worked well. By far, one of my favorite products is this makeup sponge. Now let's move on to the lip care kit. This is called Welcome to the North Pole. It is $18 for the duo, and it contains a lip mask and a lip scrub. These lip products have a minty candy cane scent. I feel like I get a little bit of like a thin mint type of fragrance from these, almost like there's some sort of underlying note of vanilla or chocolate or something that just sweetens up that mint a little bit. I really, really like the scent. And I'm not a huge lip scrub fan, but I like these lip scrubs because the little scrubby particles are very, very fine. It doesn't feel like it's shredding my lips like some of the thicker scrubs do. And both the lip scrub and the lip mask have a little bit of an icy sheen to them. I think you can tell there are some little silver sparkles in here, and it doesn't terribly show up on the lips, but I think it's a nice touch. I actually like this lip duo quite a bit because of the skincare appeal. I think it will just work for a lot of people and it would be a nice, safe gift. Next, let's talk about this Super Shock highlighter kit. The kit is priced at 16 US dollars, and these shades are not being sold individually. They're only being sold in this Super Shock highlighter duo. We have one very classic bright white pearlized finished highlighter, and then one that has a bit of that tie-dye look to the actual powder where you'll swirl and kind of customize your own color. These are both described as a pearlized finish, but I do think that they look a little bit different in that the icicle spree shade is a bit more sparkly and glittery looking, and the Winter Wonder shade is a lot more of that classic metallic sheen type of finish. I feel relief seeing a Super Shock cheek product being released. It has seemed like they've been pulling back from these formulas, which I don't like that because I love the Super Shock cheek formulas. I love the Super Shock highlighters, blushes, bronzers, all of them. So I'm glad to see more coming out. Ultimately, this set doesn't really do that much for me. I just don't think that the two shades are different enough on the skin to justify having both, let alone forcing them to be sold in a duo. I just wish there was a little bit more contrast between these two. They could have gone a little bit crazier with the icicle spree shade. These are just I like seeing a Super Shock highlighter. I like the formula. I'll wear these, but I just don't think that the colors are well curated. Just one girl's opinion. I do want to give a little shout out here to the small fluff brush. This is my all-time favorite Super Shock highlighter or any of these bouncy cheek powders that have that similar sort of gel to powder type of texture. This is the perfect brush. The highlighters themselves are fine. If these are colors you're interested in, then definitely go for it. But what I'm here to really tell you about and really convince you about is actually the small fluff brush this time around. I'm not against the highlighters, but I am just really for this brush and I highly recommend it. I always get tons of questions about how to apply these Super Shock products. And you can see here just a couple of passes with this brush gave me a really great highlighter application. Let's move on to some lip sets now. This is the Chill Out So Juicy Plumping Gloss Balm Kit. Again, these colors are only being sold in this trio, and the trio is retail priced at 24 US dollars. I have previously reviewed this So Juicy Plumping Gloss Balm formula previously. This did release earlier this year, and I'm not a fan for two reasons. I'm just personally not interested in plumping type of lip products. I see why they exist. I'm all for it. For those who like it, great. I also really dislike this clicky pen type of packaging where the product, once dispensed, can't go back into the tube. Though that's just a double whammy for me. I don't like the way that the formula feels as far as the plumping goes. The balm aspect is fine, the colors are fine. I am not a hater of this formula. I do see a great, huge, expansive customer base for this type of product. I totally get it. And I even see the appeal as somebody who does not like plumping products, but it just doesn't work for me. It's not something I'm excited about. However, if you are the person who's excited about this formula and you enjoy that plumping type of balm, then I do really recommend this to those who like it because the colors are very pretty and I like the special little frosty packaging. I think these are simple, straightforward, and I also think this is the type of lip product that people will entirely use up. So again, a great high use value on something like this. Even though I'm not that target customer, I very much appreciate that that customer is out there, and I think this is a great offering for them. Personally, I prefer the other lip products in this collection. There are two Luxe lipstick kits that each come with a Luxe lipstick and a lip liner. These lip kits are priced at $16 a piece, and they do have a bunch of special packaging inside and out. I am once again relieved to see this formula out being released currently, the Luxe lipsticks. Another one of my favorites, another one that they haven't really been too focused on in the last few months, year or so. Both of these Luxe lipsticks are in the cream finish, and they have this little special Frosty the Snowman print on the actual lipstick bullet. I love that. I love a detail like this. That is a great way to steal my heart. And I actually really like both of these lip kit colors. I do notice that the Snow Much Fun set, the one that has the more reddish lipstick, looks a lot more red when it's swatched on my arm, and it really seems to pull more pinky once it's applied to my lips. I'm about to show you some lip swatches, so you're gonna get to see exactly what I mean. Also, am I inventing this? I guess I could just go back at my old video and look, but was First Snow already released with the Frozen collection? Ah, I just went back and looked. Okay, this is update from slightly in the future. It was Little Snow. That Elsa lipstick was called Little Snow. This is First Snow. But can you believe that collection was like what, 6 years ago? So pretty good ColourPop trivia recall right there. Not perfect, obviously. This Silly Snowman lip color, I think, looks more pink once it's on my actual lips. Maybe I am just inventing that. It definitely was a lot more so in person, but I think it swatches red and wears pink just on me. But I still really like it. I like both the Luxe lip colors. Moving on to eyes now, we have the Snow Days Jelly Much Eyeshadow Duo. This is $12. And here we have yet another one of my beloved favorite ColourPop formulas being revived after not being released for a really long time. I love to see the updated packaging here. These Jelly Much shadows are now being offered in the same little glass pot that the cream gel liners come in. I definitely think this is an upgrade. This seems like a great way to lock in some of that jelly moisture, and you can revitalize these as well. So if yours dries up, fear not, you can revitalize it. You can just add a little bit of water, or you can add a little bit of oil if it's really, really dry. I absolutely love the Jelly Much formula. I am thrilled to see these. I actually like both of these, which is crazy because pink and blue are my least favorite eyeshadow colors to wear. But I just like the texture of these. I like the iridescent, little shimmery, sparkly, little wash of color look. I just think these are great. I think these make so much sense within the context of the collection. This is one of my top three products, even though we're very early in this video. I will say my personal top three picks from this Frosty the Snowman collection are the sponge, the Luxe lipstick kits, and the Jelly Much duo. Those are the three things that I'm really excited about, that I recommend, and that I think are really special in this collection. And once we move on to the tutorial portion of the video, you'll get to see both of these Jelly Much shadow shades incorporated into my eyeshadow look for the day. So you will get to see both of these colors in action. I really like these. I'm excited to use them again, which is really a high metric for me when I'm reviewing. The final piece we're going to talk about is the Frosty the Snowman palette. This is a 15 pan eyeshadow palette, and it's priced at 24 US dollars. This palette has the same artwork on the front cover of the actual box, the outer carton that the palette comes in, as well as the front cover of the eyeshadow palette itself. The main difference on the packaging is that the box has a list of ingredients on the back, whereas the eyeshadow palette itself does not have the ingredients list. So I do recommend hanging on to the box if you're somebody who has ingredient concerns. It's just never a bad idea to have more information. There's no mirror inside this palette, and of these 15 shades, we have a very low matte ratio. This is a high sparkle, high shine palette, which in a snow themed palette makes perfect sense to me. So we have 5 true matte shades. There are 2 shades that are matte with glitter, sometimes called sequin shades. That's that minty color on the top row called Wishy Washy, and the white on the bottom row, Christmas Snow. Those are both sequin or matte with glitter type of shades. And then we have 4 regular shimmer shades and 4 pearlescent glitter shades. It's no secret over the years, I've made it pretty clear I am not a glitter eyeshadow fan. So that really does put me off from this a bit. Ultimately, I think that it makes sense for a Frosty the Snowman palette, even though it's not in line with my personal preference. I understand why the choices were made to make this palette very light in tone and very, very sparkly and glittery. I get it. It's snowy, it's Frosty the Snowman, it makes perfect sense to me. I similarly understand a lot of these very, very light matte shades, very sequin, glittery matte shades that they included. There is a bit of contrast here, but in general, this is a very light, very sparkle heavy palette. And that's just not something that I personally gravitate towards. I think this looks super pretty when it's all swatched out together, but I also think it becomes obvious when you see the swatches that there's not a lot of different eye looks that are going to be pulled out of this palette. I'm not saying, it's a complete one trick pony or anything. I do think that certainly there will be some talented people that come up with some really cool, interesting, and unexpected looks with this palette. But in general, I do think that it lacks the variety and contrast that I personally am looking for from a palette of this size. I do think that ultimately, once applied to the eye, all of these super light, sparkly shades are not going to really be distinguishable from one another. And I also had trouble getting the mattes to work for me. I am somebody that really enjoys a lot of midtones, and there's just not a lot of midtones in this palette. So I suppose that's part of my hang up. I did appreciate being able to blend some of the matte shades together. I'm a fan of mixing my mattes to customize my depth. And you can do that here, but there's just not a lot of mattes to choose from, and maybe too much high contrast because there's like 2 pretty dark matte shades, mostly leaning lighter. So it just feels a little bit limited as far as potential looks for me. I just think that my Aurora Struck palette, for example, gives me a larger color variety and a larger variety of light, mid-tone, and deep shades. So I feel like I can get millions of looks from the Aurora Struck palette. Also, that is a mega palette, so probably not super fair to compare them as far as usefulness goes. But that just comes to mind for me because you'll see in the comparison section that is a pretty close match to some of these shades. And it was also my most requested comparison from Instagram and YouTube. So I have a feeling everybody else is kind of on to this idea too. Ultimately, I did end up enjoying this eye look quite a lot. I do think that the Jelly Mutt shadows are doing something more interesting for me, inspiration wise. But at the end of the day, I like the way that my entire makeup turned out, including this eyeshadow. I don't see myself getting a huge variety of different types of looks, but I like this one. And if something like this appeals to you, I don't have any complaints as far as performance goes, unless you count my complaints about there being so many glitters. Now you've seen the palette in action, you've seen how this looks once it's applied to the eyes. Let's look at some different types of swatches here. First up is just the full Frosty the Snowman swatched onto my arm. On top are finger swatches, below are brush swatches. These are done with no primer, just a dry brush. I don't dampen the brush or anything like that. And I didn't use any sort of base underneath these shadows. I think you can really tell here these just don't have a very discernible look. In my opinion, you could take maybe 5 of these different eyeshadows and swap them out for one another, and it would be really, really, really similar look on the eyes. There's only so many little light, sparkly with the blue shift type of shades you can put into one palette before it just starts feeling redundant and like there's a little bit of filler happening. I will say I really, really like the appearance of that shade Ice and Snow. It has a minty green that shifts to this really fiery orangey pink type of color. I think that's really interesting. I could do without a lot of the other regular blue shift glitters. They're not going to look different on. So maybe I'm being pessimistic, but I just don't think there's a lot going on here. Without the extra shine of the studio lights, I think this looks kind of dull, kind of flat, just kind of bland in regular overhead lighting, which is what most of us are existing in most of the time. This does come to life with this flash lighting, particularly when it's in motion and you can see those sparkles and shifts setting off. But this isn't really the type of lighting situation that most of us are wearing our eyeshadow in most of the time. But it does make for an awful lot of fun photos and videos. I'll tell you that. Now let's move on to everybody's favorite time. It's comparison time. And I first thought to do this rose quartz palette comparison after I finished my eye look with the Frosty the Snowman palette. I felt like it reminded me of looks I had done previously with the rose quartz palette. And I just think you can tell from the initial swatches here, there's a lot more richness in all of the shades, particularly the mattes, but there's just a more of a high impact coming off of these colors and finishes in the rose quartz option. However, rose quartz is very, very pink, so the colors weren't matching up nearly as well. Hence why I moved on to this Cloud 9 and Elsa palette comparison. We're getting a little bit closer on the shades here, quite a bit closer actually. Still not a lot of one-to-one matches, but I do think you could do a lot of very, very similar eye looks. Aside from that little powdery baby blue matte shade, we're getting pretty close here. However, the absolute best one-to-one comparison, in my opinion, and a lot of you guys called it, this is what you were all asking for, is the Aurora Struck palette. Genuinely incredibly similar. I do feel that the exact same type of eye looks would come from these two palettes. So if you already have Aurora Struck, it is safe to say you can skip the Frosty the Snowman palette. However, if the Aurora Struck palette is too big for you, then maybe Frosty the Snowman is a better option to get some of those same types of shades. That's it for the ColourPop and Frosty the Snowman collection. I would love to hear what you think about these pieces. Have you already ordered anything? Is anything here catching your eye? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Oh, this clicking is so annoying. I hate that. Okay, this color is really pretty, but a lip product that can't be like twisted back down, I just hate that so much. You just expect me to dispense the perfect amount every single time? It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. That's not who I am. Well, excuse me. I'm hungry. I need a snack. I want some spicy hummus. Woohoo! I did it. Okay, okay. What are you talking about? Huh? Okay, I'm going to be listing my holiday stuff on Etsy really soon. I feel like everything was too early this year. We started Halloween in like freaking July, but alas, here we are. I wish there was a blush. They did a lot of sets of twos in here, like duos and things like that. Even if they had done two blushes, do a red blush and then do like a basic, like brown nude blush, or even like a bright pink so that it looks really flushed. A red and a bright pink in this with the blue lid. Honestly, I think that would be so cute. They should hire me. If they wanted my opinion, they know where to find me. These are essential ColourPop brushes. I don't know how else to say it. Small fluff, stippling, blending brush. I use these all the time. This is perfect for Super Shock cheeks, but this works for any highlighter. This brush is underrated. The stippling brush you can use for Super Shock or for liquid products. I use this for all of my liquid products. I love these two face brushes, and then obviously, I feel like I've talked about this all the time. I have like literally 20 of these. You need these three. Don't even worry about what I'm reviewing. Just get these three brushes. I mean, still watch the review though. I guess it's too late. You're already in the bloopers if you made it to this rant, this brush rant. Where was I? I gotta go finish up my swatches so that I can have this video ready for you. I know that it's late. This package came, the PR package came the day that this collection launched, so not really much I can do about it. Also, my kid's birthday has just passed. I hosted a birthday party with a ton of kids. I was very busy, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that's always gonna be my number one priority. It's not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't love my channel. It's not that I don't want to be the absolute best go-to source for you, because I 100% do. I love that. I love that for us. I love making these videos. It's fun. It's creative. I like talking to you. I like talking about makeup. We have sparkly stuff we can look at. That's amazing. The fact that this gets to be my job, amazing. I love it. Every single day I think about how cool that is and how lucky I am. And I want to work really hard to earn that privilege. But my kid only gets to be a little kid for so long. And that will always just be my priority. You know, I know you get it. I know you do. Anybody who's watching this, I know you get it. So thank you. Thank you for your support, and thank you for bringing your beautiful little face here. I appreciate you. Everybody who watches, you know, my shining stars that watch to the end, everybody who supports the channel by using my affiliate code and my affiliate links, that makes such a big difference. I just appreciate you all. And yes, I painted my nails to match. Finally, the matching nails are back in action. Huh? Huh? Yeah. Gotta go. Thanks for watching. I love your face so very much. And I hope that I see it again real soon around this channel. See you later. Bye.